Hey, welcome to the next episode of Mr. Takeda Teaches Math 7. This is lesson 4.2, solving inequalities using addition or subtraction, in which we ask the essential question, how can you use addition or subtraction to solve an inequality? And the answer is quite easy, actually. The same way you use them to solve equations. When it comes to solving inequalities, inequalities have many of the same properties as equations. So we use the same properties for solving using addition or subtraction. So, for instance, now there's a lot of words here. You don't have to get all this down. That's okay. I just want to kind of give it some background here. You don't need these into your notes. You might try to make a little notes of the names of these things. But basically, this says what? This says if I have a true inequality to start with, -4 is less than 3. That's true. If I add the same thing to both sides, in this case 2, -4 plus 2 is -2, 3 plus 2 is 5, I will end up with a true inequality. It's still true. And that's the whole idea behind this, is when we deal with inequalities or equations, we always want to make sure things are true. Same thing for subtraction. I'm starting with a true inequality. -2 is less than +2. If I subtract 3 from both sides, I get -5 is less than -1. Still true. So this is, again, just like equations. We can just, the idea is that we do the same thing to both sides. Okay. Now, little note, also true if we have the little equation bars in this. If it's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, same thing. Let's look at our first example. X minus 5 is less than -3. Well, I'm going to write that inequality. X minus 5 is less than -3. Maybe you're noticing, wow, Mr. Takeda writes pretty neatly. And I do when I'm doing my math, and so should you. Just trying to be a good example for you. And then we want to isolate the x. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to add 5 to both sides, which is my addition property of inequality. I'm adding 5 to both sides because I want to basically counteract the -5, just like you did when you did equations. So I have x. Here's my simplification. X is less than -3 plus 5, 2. X is less than 2. I'm going to graph that. I'll need a short number line for this. Zero, 1, 2. We're going to use an open circle. And I'm going to graph to the left. I want the numbers that are less than 2. So your graph can look like that. Okay, get this into your notes. Make the little commentaries on the sides there as well. That's very important. You try this one. And you're going to label this one 1t. This is problem 1t. Okay, and when you're done with this one, join me on the next screen. Example 2, solving an inequality using subtraction. Well, this is very similar to what we just did with addition, but let's see why it's subtraction now. I'm going to write the inequality. So 13 is less than or equal to x plus 14. And here we go. I need to subtract 14 from the right side so I can get x by itself. And whatever I do to the one side, I have to do to the other side. So 14 minus 14 is 0. 13 minus 14, -1. And then that's everything else just kind of comes straight down. Okay, so -1 is less than or equal to x. But really, when we think about this, because I have to graph this, when we graph it, I want to think of x as greater than or equal to -1. What happened? I changed the positions of these things, but because I'm dealing with an inequality, and remember, the inequality symbol always points to the smaller expression. It's pointing to -1 here. It's pointing to -1 in my rewritten one. And why did I want to do that? Well, I like doing that because when I graph, Now this inequality symbol is going to point in the same direction as my graph. Now x is equal to -1, my boundary is -1, and it's equal to -1. So I'm going to use the solid filled in dot there, and I want to graph to the right because I want the numbers that are greater than -1. So it's this direction. Okay? Either one of these would suffice as an answer, but remember, we're talking about the solution set for x. So x is greater than -1. -1 is less than or equal to x. That doesn't really say the same thing, but this is the way we want to think about it when you're graphing. Okay, let's have you guys try this one. Pause the video here. Try this one. We'll check things out in class or at the end of this video. This is problem 2T. And finally, I've got a real-life application here. It's a word problem. Oh, we love word problems, right? A person can be no taller than 6.25 feet to become an astronaut pilot for NASA. How exciting. Your friend is 5 feet 9 inches tall. Write and solve an inequality that represents how much your friend can grow and still meet the requirement. Okay, so this one is a little tricky because the first measurement they're giving us is 6.25 feet. They're giving us in feet. The second one they're giving us in a combination of feet and inches. Now remember, an inequality compares things. So in order to compare them, we have to put them in the same units of measure. Okay, so I'm going to convert the 5 feet 9 inches tall into just feet. So 9 inches, right? 9 inches. How many feet is that? Well, there's 12 inches in a foot. So 9 divided by 12, I can reduce this to 3/4, and I know that's going to be 0.75. Okay, so this is, I'm going to think of this as 5.75 feet. Okay, let's write the inequality because we want to know how much your friend can grow and still meet the requirement. So they're starting at 5.75 feet. And by growing, they're going to what? Increase their height. So we're going to add some unknown number of feet to that. So this has to be what? Remember, they can be no taller than 6.25, which means they have to be what? Less than 6.25. So this is where some of this language kind of comes into play. If you're not taller than 6.25 feet, then you're less than or equal to 6.25 feet. So there's the first part. We've written the inequality. Now we'll go ahead and solve it. We'll use that subtraction property of inequality. I'm going to subtract 5.75 from both sides. Those will equal out. Let's see, 5 minus 5 is 0. 12 minus 5 is 5. And 5 minus 5 would be 0, right? So x is less than or equal to 0.5, and this is what? In feet, right? We converted everything to feet. So your friend can only grow a half a foot and still become an astronaut. If you're too tall, you won't fit in those, spacecraft. So you can only be a certain height. Okay, now you try this one. This one's a little stranger, I guess. It's kind of the same problem, right? You watch your units of measure and then write and solve an inequality to see how much your brother can grow and still meet the requirement to become a fighter pilot in the U.S. Air Force. Okay, that is it for this video. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, and I'll see you in class. Oh, I forgot to say, this is problem 3T, by the way. Try this. Okay, bye-bye.